We were talking about Shedeur with Sam there.
Shedeur Sanders.
And I don't want to mischaracterize my position here. I have been very anti-Sanders family for a while, right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that this is coming from a place of being genuine.
What the world?
Also, what?
What did you know about being genuine?
I do my best.
Jam pony.
Genuine? Like the genuine? Sorry.
In those jeans.
There is there was a weird thing that happened over the weekend with the whole Shedeur thing. Like, first of all, I truly believe he was about a second-round quarterback talent.
Look at the stream.
What do we got?
That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about.
Which one?
Look at the graphic.
Oh, Rico. My man.
I mean,
he's on it.
This is the kind of stuff that you do with a production team of like 10.
Mm-hmm.
Not 2.
Rico's on it, man. Now, he wasn't on it enough to like hook me up with anything from the garage sale when he was in there. So
I'm just saying though.
No, it's really good. He's the man,
right?
I told you.
Like
Rico's my guy.
what are we talking about?
He's the man.
Anyway, carry on.
But
my wayward son.
So I genuinely believe, just talent-wise, he was about a second-round talent.
I agree.
I thought he was going to go in the first round because of the quarterback draft class. I thought he was going to be probably second half of the first round.
I also agree.
And probably a deserving place was late first, early second, whatever. So let's start there. These people that are like, oh, well, he's just a fifth round talent. You're not right. That's incorrect. Like, that's not what we saw. That's not what the tape says. And these people are like, oh, the tape is terrible. No, it's not. There's problems, sure. But if you can look at Dylan Gabriel's tape and Shedeur Sanders' tape, and you think Dylan Gabriel should be drafted first, you're just wrong. Okay? Let's start there. Second, I'm having a really hard time because people keep being like, oh, red flags everywhere. Red flags, red flags, red flags. Okay, what are they? Can somebody tell me what the red flags are? Is it just that we don't like – I don't like the way this family operates, and I don't see that many red flags with Shedeur.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Is it just that he's too cocky? Is it just that he's too confident? Is it that we don't like the sound clip, which I didn't either? I don't like the sound clip of him after Nebraska being like, well, look at the time he had. Look at the time I had. Not great.
So can I just say, and listen, I'm gonna be careful here because I want people to hear objectivity. So the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Why do we stop what he said about Raiola after the comparison? Because what he
followed it with?
He followed it with, hey, the more consistent the run game, the easier it is. We have to play the way that we're built.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't get the isolation of the clip. And if anybody wants to go in on Shedeur, it would have been me. But that's not what I heard in that clip.
Sure.
That's not what I heard. He said, hey, how many times did Raiola get touched? Okay, there's the obvious. Clip it. There's the soundbite. But he followed it up with the consistency of the running game. And, and he even said, hey, this is kind of how you have to play to your strengths. This is kind of how we had to play. And it wasn't advantageous. Like, what he said was not wrong. I don't care. Like, just listen to what he said.
So I agree. You're right. It gets clipped. It gets clipped at the sexy soundbite, and then we move on.
Like we're being disingenuous. Like we're being disingenuous as a fan base as we say, well, he threw his own. That's not what he did.
Also,
like don't say that's not what he did.
But let's say I'm looking for red flags, so I want to read it negatively. Okay, let's say
was he drag racing?
He was not.
Vehicular manslaughter?
Nope.
Sexual assault?
Nope. Drugs? Nope.
Ooh.
That's what I'm asking. What's the red flag, right? Because, and I get that people said he didn't do well in the interview process. Okay, that's fine. But how much of the Deion thing are we putting on Shedeur, right? Because that's a guy that I don't particularly like, and I don't understand how the interviews could have been so bad that he falls 3 rounds below his talent. NFL teams knew Johnny Manziel was on cocaine. They knew this during the draft process. They knew that this guy was unprepared, didn't do well in the interview process, and was actively on cocaine. And I know people are like, oh, well, the talent's drastically different. Listen, we knew, like, most of what Johnny Manziel was doing that we were enamored with was running around. This guy's like 5'11", a $180, and ran like a 4.7. We knew that shit wasn't going to play in the NFL. We knew that. We knew the 1,400 yards in the SEC rushing was not going to play in the NFL. So don't come to me like Johnny Manziel was some Cam Newton level talent. He wasn't. I also know, and I said this in real time, and I've said it to you a million times since then, that Heisman belonged as much to Mike Evans as it did to Johnny Manziel. And let's also forget people like, oh, Johnny Manziel won. Let's take a little look at that. What was the record? What do you think Texas A&M's record was the year before Johnny Manziel got drafted?
7-5.
9-4. What was Colorado's record this year?
9-4.
It was 9-4. Also, you want to get real deep into it? How many bowl games has Colorado made since like the mid 2000s?
Give me the year.
2005.
They have made 2 bowl games.
Not including the COVID year? That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. How many bowl games was Texas A&M making before Johnny Manziel made it? Or before Johnny Manziel was there?
Oh, they went through a stretch. I will say less than 2.
They were going pretty much every year to a bowl game still.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's on me.
They were going pretty much every year.
How many bowl games had they been to?
Yes, sorry.
I thought,
not how many they missed.
Yes.
They had missed 2
my bad.
in about they had missed 4 in about 15 years.
You threw me with stretch.
Yeah, I threw it through.
That's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
But yeah, they had missed like 4 bowl games in 15 years.
Okay.
When Johnny Manziel was there. Okay, so we're talking about vastly different things. Going 9-4 at Colorado is like going 11-2 the year that he had that first year under Kevin Sumlin at Texas A&M. Like he didn't win significantly more than Shedeur did. He really didn't, considering what the programs were. Like if we grade Kansas on a curve, we have to grade Colorado on a curve too, right? If we're going to be obsessed with the job they've done down at Kansas, then you can't have a different measuring stick all of a sudden for Colorado. Because for the last 15, almost 20 years, Colorado's been Kansas. So you can't tell me it's the winning because he's turned 2 programs around. Not like Jackson State was lighting the world on fire before he showed up. So you can't tell me it's about winning. You can't tell me it's about talent because, again, second round, I'll even give you third. I'll give you an extra round if you're like, man, I don't love some of the interviews. We bump him around. But I'll tell you this, the interviews haven't mattered that much for anybody else.
So, Shane, I want you to play a couple things here because I heard this over the weekend. Some people, like I don't listen to everybody because I kind of know if people have a preconceived notion or they want to be right, I can't get any objectivity out of them. Mm-hmm. They're just going to say, well, I told you. And I understand that too, but I'm trying, when I want to arrive at my own opinion, I start with what do I think? What can I prove? Mm-hmm. Then what do people that are closer to the situation think? What's something that I haven't thought about that I need to think about? And then I'll probably arrive at wherever. That's just typically
how you like to come.
How I like to think. So I heard a couple of things during the slide. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's one I haven't touched on yet, but go ahead.
So when it became apparent that he wasn't going to be drafted, it was like the dude or the girl that's in the relationship and all the friends say, man, I told you he was this, and this, or, or vice versa. Man, she never this. And
it's like you weren't trying to tell me while it was happening?
Right. So I'm out on that. Mm-hmm. The other thing is at what point is like at the quarterback spot, do you just not want what comes with it?
So like the circus, or whatever you
want to call it.
Whatever
it is.
For whoever it is.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Okay. And the other thing is we got to stop saying 32 teams because it's not 32 teams.
No.
It's the 7 that went in wanting a quarterback.
Yeah.
Or 8, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Shay, I want to know if this says more about Deion or the teams that would be drafting Shedeur that wouldn't want to take this on. Shane, play the clip.
Teams that I won't allow him to play for.
Whoa.
This is my profession. I know what's behind the curtain. We ain't got to get back there for me to understand what's not prominent for my son. I'm not doing it. Ain't
And
no
if
way
he
in the world.
doesn't listen to you,
Who? No, you must mean owners, like not my son.
have you told him privately who you would like for him to play for?
It's not like who I would like for him to play for. It's a couple teams that I won't allow him to play for.
Whoa.
Okay. Shane, play the second clip.
One of them is going to be one.
That's what I'm talking about.
One of them is going to be
Speaking
one.
into existence.
And the latter one would not go behind 4. Now, all this is subjective because I know where I kind of want them to go. And let's not forget Shallow, okay? But I know where I want them to go. So there's certain cities that ain't gonna happen. It's gonna be a
Okay,
Peyton
you on
Manning.
point.
It's gonna be it's gonna be an Eli.
Should I be moved by that if I'm a franchise? Is that Deion's fault for saying that as a dad? Because at that point, he's a dad. Is that his fault? Or is it on the teams that may not be able to handle that? Because I heard this. Well, if New York takes him, Dable's on the hot seat. And how long before we hear the
Bring on Deion.
like? Is that a reason for this?
No, I think that's,
Is it a good enough reason?
I don't think so. Here's
It doesn't sit well with me either.
here's what I'll say about those clips. We didn't have a problem when Archie Manning did it. We didn't. Archie Manning did this, except worse.
Do you want to talk about Jack Elway?
Yeah, let's talk about Jack Elway. Let's talk about Archie Manning. We didn't have a problem when they did it. Now, listen, I get that John Elway, even at the time, was considered a generational prospect. So we're talking about a little bit different things here. But a month ago, we were talking about Shedeur Sanders as possibly number 3 pick in the draft. So we're not talking about that much different things. Okay, let's remind ourselves contextually how we got here. So if you're a franchise and you hear that and you're scared off by it, I'm calling BS. Because you weren't scared off with Eli Manning. You weren't scared off with Jack Elway. I'm sure there's other stories that are less prominent that we don't know about. But here's the other thing. I keep hearing, oh, he's not humble. There's not a bit of humbleness in him. When's the last time you've ever heard an NFL team say they want a humble quarterback?
No, I know.
What do you always hear? What do you always hear? We want a confident quarterback.
Yeah.
I want a confident quarterback. Listen, if we like him more, it's confidence. If we don't like him, it's cocky. And yes, I think he can be cocky. Guess what? So can Joe Burrow, and I love him. Love him.
Yeah, Joe's made it cool. Shane, kill the music.
To be indifferent or to be whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's his whole thing. I talked about this last week.
We don't have to take a full break, so it doesn't matter if we only go whatever.
When does it go from being, hey, it's cool that Joe Burrow is unflappable to, hey, we don't like that Shedeur Sanders is indifferent? Like, that's a huge problem for me because we're talking about the exact same personality attributes.
Yeah, so there's a couple of other things that were kind of prevailing thoughts that I don't agree with. I don't want to make it. I certainly don't want to make it about race. And this is as a guy that grew up wanting to be a black quarterback, that was very good friends with Briscoe. Like, I've heard it all, right? I've seen guys that will go out of way to not look athletic, to stand in the pocket for the sake of bucking the trend, right? I grew up in a high school era that had the Sherrods and the Cluster Johnsons and the Tony Velans, and everybody had to switch positions. So I understand that. But the pushback I would give to that is there were still the Jamarcus Russells of the world who everybody knew was a crapshoot, right? You come in, you're weighing 265, and people wonder about your weight issues and how serious you are at football, or guys that infamously say, hey, I didn't come here to play school, and they get drafted with a very small
Tiny
window.
sample size.
Okay. Jameis Winston, who
had a sexual assault allegation and multiple other off-the-field issues.
Right. Still
go number 1 overall.
Still took that guy.
Yeah. 1-1.
So it's not a race thing. It can't be.
No, because there's too many other examples of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I set that aside.
Yeah.
what's the talent disparity between guys that people are willing to reach on and overlook significantly worse things
Red flags. Yeah.
than what we saw with Shedeur? That's where that's where I think the guts of the conversation lies.
That's why I started with second round talent. That's why I started.
That's
there.
where the guts of the conversation have to start. Anything else is just speculatory.
I agree.
Right, because we've seen some reaches on some brothers before.
Yeah.
We just thought that they were uber talented.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kobe asked an interesting question, and I think it's fair. He said, would I be worried about coaching someone that has only been coached by his father?
Sure.
I think that's legit. But I also don't call that daddy ball. That is not daddy ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because he performed at a very high level. He's a really good player.
He is.
He's
like we've ignored that part of this conversation.
He's a really good player. Yeah. And I think we're doing him. I understand it. Because if I'm being honest, Kobe, I'm taking all the truth serum. One of the reasons that I did not want to coach Caleb in middle school is I wanted him to have a different voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like he needed an Alvin Mitchell.
Totally fair.
He needed, a Ryan Terry. I wanted him to be able to receive instruction from just about anybody.
Absolutely.
So I get that. But the difference is, Kobe, is he wasn't only good because of his dad.
Mm-hmm.
I think I can separate that.
Yeah.
And I get it. Oh, Delano Walker had him as a fifth rounder. Big. That's fine. Delaney, he's not a fifth round talent.
No.
No one
thought he was fifth round talent.
Thought he was a fifth round talent. So that's cool that he ends up being right. But the end doesn't justify the means. Like we act like I don't know, man. I just don't like we only talk about what fits the argument. Just talk about it all and see where you land the plane. Like,
here's the other thing that
he wasn't only good because of his dad.
Absolutely not. But
I can't get into the collusion in the race thing either because
we've got too many examples that buck that.
Worse people have been drafted higher that look like him.
Yeah. I do. There's a couple things that I want to say here. Number one, never gets any credit for the fact that he got absolutely killed behind that offensive line over the last 2 years and still put up those numbers. That doesn't get talked about.
Yeah.
Which, if you're drafting someone, is actually a really good skill to have because a lot of times you don't have very good lines when you're drafting somebody early. Number two, one of the other things I saw this weekend is people giving so much credit to these franchises. They go, well, obviously, you mentioned 32 teams. It's really like 7 or 8. But they go, oh, obviously, all 32 teams have passed on him 5, 6, 7 times at this point. It's like, okay, we're going to sit here and act like these aren't the same GMs that took Jake Locker and that took I'm totally blanking. Like Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf
Ponder
and Christian Ponder and EJ Manuel, and name a bad quarterback. Like, just name. We're going to pretend like these aren't the same people whose talent evaluation led them to draft those guys. Yeah. Because all of a sudden we trust their judgment implicitly when we kill them for it the rest of the time. Like, let's just have a little logical consistency here. Just a little bit. That's all I'm asking for. Just a little bit of logical consistency. Because we don't trust their judgment any other time. When somebody drafts Loveland over Warren, we go, oh, my God, what are they doing?
I just didn't love – like, if you tell me, hey, he's just not good enough, and this is why, okay. But the whole interviewing thing, like, it just seemed to grow legs.
We've seen so many people do so much worse.
And I hate the cut-ups of – and listen, I'm not a Cannell guy, and I tell him this, but I didn't like the selective clips of poor sportsmanship. Because not everybody, not everybody,
a lot,
but a lot of guys
will have a bad moment.
Do stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of guys do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I watched Devontae Smith spin a ball off a dude's foot that he cooked in the end zone, and we thought it was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But because a guy knocked the ball out of a ball boy's hand, We're mad at that. Like we vilified Sark because he was mad at a kid in the tunnel in a high intensity situation. So we're grading Sark on that. Sark is still the same guy that only gives you a 1-day window to have a salary dispute for NIL before you can no longer bring it up. And he hasn't had a ton of problems with discipline at Texas. So I'm not going to allow that to formulate my opinion.
I mean, are we going to pretend like Josh Allen isn't the guy that threw a ball at Nate Gary after he threw an interception?
And Nate gave it back to him, and it's probably a reflection of Nate being
Nate
nuts.
as well,
but I love Nate. But we think that's cool.
We don't have a problem with Nate, and we don't have a problem with Josh Allen either.
We think that's cool. So I don't know, man. I just don't like the narrative to fit the discussion.
Kobe keeps bringing up this thing about the camera crew, right? About how it's hard to do with the camera crew.
Listen, I've been defending Kobe since he's been a part of what I'm doing. I appreciate his support. But I may have to, Kobe, I'm trying to be patient with you today.
Well, it's kind of funny because I actually think it proves the opposite point.
And here's the thing. All that's like the adults in the room have to be the adults. Part of what the NFL and their jobs are supposed to be is they're still in the developmental portion of what they want to do, right? That's why you evaluate draft talent, you make projections. Like that's part of it. If I'm an NFL franchise and I'm worried about like what comes with somebody, I have to decide the risk reward. Sure. If I don't want camera crews, like who cares that he had camera crews at Colorado? This is an NFL locker room. If I don't want those guys around me or in my locker room as a Buffalo Bill or a Cleveland Brown or whomever else,
just say no.
They're just not going to be around. Like that's not going to influence. Like that's not going to influence my thinking.
Here's the other side of that coin, though.
I don't get it.
Here's the other side of that coin, though. So he's had camera crews following him around for 2 years at Colorado. And the worst thing we can say about him is we think he's too cocky. It's like the LeBron thing all over again, right? This guy's been famous since he was 15 years old. And the worst thing we can say about him is like, oh, we didn't really like the decision thing, right? Like, and I don't even like LeBron, okay? But the worst thing we really have to say about him as a person that has come out publicly is, hey, don't really love the decision. Guess what? That also raised like 7 figures for a Boys and Girls Club.
This just lets you know, like I do have the ability to be objective because I didn't want the Steelers to draft Shedeur in the first round, but I know he's better than the slander he's receiving. Like,
that's the point. I don't even like this guy.
To me, this is incredible. Like,
and
we act like this guy is not a good player. Like, just because we don't like somebody doesn't mean they aren't good at what they do.
Yeah. And I don't listen, I wouldn't have wanted the 49ers to draft him if they wanted a quarterback either. That doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback.
Dude is good.
Right. And here's the other thing is you've heard of this little program called Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah.
You've heard of, the NFL being pretty popular in the media and there's cameras all over the place. If the worst thing we can say about Shedeur after 2 years of being followed around by cameras is that he might be a little too cocky for our taste, isn't that really good prep for being a professional quarterback, especially in a place like, I don't know, New York City?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like he's ready for that.
And Ken says, what about the rumors that his team interviews were really bad? Who's saying that, and what are the interviews? Right? Hey, sources said. A nameless guy said that was the worst interview he's ever. Like, I highly, highly doubt that was the worst interview that he's ever seen. Do we not?
This happens every year, by the way.
Every
with
year.
Somebody slides, be like, oh, the interviews were bad.
Man.
Oh, the interviews. Or it goes the other way, too. Anthony Richardson goes way higher than he should, by the way. I'm not going to let go of this Anthony Richardson thing. That guy's never been good at quarterback. He hasn't. I get he's a freak. He's never been good at quarterback. But he gets drafted early, right? He gets drafted 3 or 4, whatever it was, and we go, oh, man, killed the interviews.
Listen, look at the interviews that surrounded who's the hot tub kid?
Oh, Leinart.
No.
Leinart was a hot tub guy.
No, you always say Leinart. It's not the one I'm talking about.
Okay.
Leinart.
He did have a hot tub thing.
3 teams in like a year and a half of his first year of playing. Miami drafted him. UCLA kid.
Oh, Josh Rosen.
Go back. See, this is a beautiful thing about Google.
Mm-hmm.
Go back and read about the interviewing process with Josh Rosen.
Too smart. How much does he like football?
How much does this guy like football?
Mm-hmm.
This guy doesn't like football.
He might be too smart.
And he took him anyway.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Josh Rosen from a productivity standpoint and Shedeur Sanders?
It's a good question.
That's
a good question.
Shedeur Sanders got. I see. This is. I'm not. I feel like. Have you ever read the book The Case for Christ?
Mhm.
Right, where dudes start out trying to disprove that Jesus was a real thing, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh my God, I'm a believer."
Yeah.
I don't even like Shedeur Sanders.
I don't either. That's the funny thing about this.
But dude is good.
Yeah. He was really, really productive under less than ideal circumstances.
And I don't like these. So the guys that what you want to do in this, I don't know. I think you'd want to get it right versus being right. I didn't like Kuiper's angle that he was beating his chest the whole time. I did like, coincidentally, and he had to come back and I had to warm up to him because I went from loving Klatt to Joel shut it down to Joel, this is pretty cool. Like, I like how you have the ability to go back and say, okay, how do we keep this from happening different? The thing that we're not talking about in the room, unfortunately, and we hammered Nico for it, and the shadow that's cast over this thing is Deion. It's not Shedeur.
Right.
It's Deion.
We're punishing him for his dad.
So in certain cities that
it's Deion. And you know, I asked this question 3 months ago to Cynthia Friedland. I said, hey, with this Shedeur thing, how will your colleagues feel about critiquing his son?
And you kind of brought it up with the idea of when if Deion was a NFL coach too.
Like it's a real thing. You can see this coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just piled on during the. I'm like, this is just odd. It's not even. Some of it is his fault. But one thing he did show me, Shane, do you still have the clip that you just played of Shedeur once he gets to the locker room? You
played it on the bump.
You literally just played it. Do you have it?
Yeah. Let me.
Okay,
get that.
so
let me find it.
are you? See, it's not fun and games anymore, right? Even in this interview, this little snippet he gave you, appears to have had a little bit of a lesson learned. Listen to his answers again. Shane, play it.
I know I'm gonna fit in perfectly. I feel like it's first getting in, showing the respect to the vets, showing them, I'm here ready to work. Show the coaches and have them understand, I'm here ready to work. So
2,
so they could actually understand the real me.
3.
That's what I'm.
Who is that person? He's telling you, hey, I know what the cameras showed. It finally caught up with me. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I don't know if I heard it finally caught up with me. I thought I heard, hey, I was kind of doing this. What I heard was I was kind of doing this for my dad. Now it's about me.
Or the brand or Colorado or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. I won't argue over the semantics.
That's how I heard it.
Okay, but we were like, hey, we put that behind us.
A lot of what you saw from me wasn't the real me. Let's go meet the real me.
Yeah. And I'm probably one of the few that watched this show. Go back to the Shedeur that was originally on Deion's television show, the reality show. Shedeur was the one he had problems with. That was not riding with the whole separation and the split thing.
Yeah.
Shedeur was a handful.
Yeah.
And I know this is like psychoanalytical babble for some, but sins and wounds of the father is a real thing.
Oh, for sure.
It's a real thing.
For sure.
So for me, it kind of tugs at my heartstrings a little bit because I know the ramifications of wanting to be a daddy pleaser, going out of your way to be anti because of who your dad. Like I've been
overcorrecting,
been through it all.
Yeah.
And it affected the way that I parented.
Sure.
And who knows how to turn out? Maybe it was to the good, maybe it was to the bad, but it was a struggle, and I had to be cognizant of it.
Trying to find in the line that you want to walk.
A long time.
Yeah.
Right. I had to watch my brother. I had to watch me. I had to watch my dad. I had to be in this city. And it's magnified by 2 trillion with this deal. So there's this spot in my heart where I'm like, man, it's the same thing I said with Nico. Don't punish the kid for that.
Mhm.
And my only real comment on social media was I just find it odd because I don't think people are willing to go the lengths that I was going through when I said odd, because clearly you can't explain it on social media. And I wasn't going to argue with people that are just seeing it on the surface level. Oh, that's what he gets. He did it to himself. He's everything that's wrong with college football. I'm like, you guys, man, such short-term memories. We've seen way worse.
Way worse.
We've seen way
worse. That's why I brought up Johnny Manziel.
We have seen way worse, and we were okay with it.
That's why I brought up Johnny Manziel.
It's like we're just selective on whether we like it or not. But this dude came in with 0 red flags. He wasn't his brother.
Mm-hmm. Who Shiloh had some stuff.
Yeah, like
had a fight. Yeah, like Shiloh had some stuff.
And let's not forget Shiloh.
That's why I asked, like, what are the red flags, right? Like, what are we actually talking about here? Is it just that we don't like Deion? Because if that's what it is, just say it out loud. Like, if you're like, hey, he slid to the 5th round because.
So that's what. All right.
If
you want me to land the plane?
Yeah.
That's what I'm mad at. That's what bothers me, because we're afraid to say anything about Deion.
Yeah.
We'll take it out on the kid. We're being a bunch of chumps. That's why I asked. Are we mad? Like, does it say more about the franchises? Does it say more about these adults in the position of leadership that you can punish the kid because you don't want to say anything bad about his dad because you're worried about the relationships? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Like, if you really are just like, hey, we don't want to deal with Deion, we're gonna let him slide. Say it out loud. Be like, hey, great.
This is subjective.
But I love the aura of Deion. I love the fact that he can hit me up. I think he's cool. Like,
they like the clout that Deion gives them, but they don't want to deal with Deion.
This is disingenuous. That's the part that eats at me the most, because it's up to the dude in the position of leadership
to say I can handle this.
To take that on. That's your role as the parent.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it hits me like.
Also, I want to give an example here. Who's the most over-the-top sports dad we've seen in recent memory?
Ball.
100.
Yeah, I'm glad because I didn't know. Yeah, he's
100%
way over the top.
Way worse than Deion, and way less qualified, by the way.
Yeah.
But guess what happened as soon as his kids made it to the league? Crickets. I haven't heard a damn thing until he lost his foot.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's it. Haven't heard a word from Lamar. Is that what's I don't even remember the dad's name. LeVar.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the dad's name because I haven't heard him in so long.
Yeah.
Right? We've got LaMelo and we got Lonzo in the league. We got LiAngelo rapping or whatever. But
which is fine. He was the worst of the three.
he was. Yeah. And he's found a little niche for himself in music. Cool. We haven't heard Pete from Dad. Right? You can get LeVar Ball under control, but you're afraid of Deion?
And I love Deion. And it's not his fault for wanting the best for his kids, because that's what most dads want.
Yeah. Have we ever seen a negative reaction?
I mean,
when
are we mad at W over Dad? Are we mad at Trump Jr. over Donald? Are we like we've seen this
all the time
for a long time. It's just we're just real selective on what we like, and I don't know, man. The adults got to be the adults.
Have we ever seen a negative reaction from a player or from a family from after somebody's been drafted? I mean, could we have seen that if Shedeur would have been drafted like where everybody thought he was going to be drafted, and if he would have been taken by one of those teams that Deion didn't necessarily want him to go to?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think we would have seen that. I think we would have heard the same thing we heard from Shedeur, where it's like, hey, now it's time to go to work. Right? Whatever the situation is, now it's time to go to work.
What baggage? Like, this is my guy. He said the difference between Elway and Manning, the kids were the best quarterbacks in the draft. Also, they didn't have the entire set of baggage surrounding them. Okay. See,
this is where, you can't just give me vague.
It's not that. Those are two separate things. If you say to me, hey, he's not good enough for blank, okay. I said that in the very beginning. I'm okay with that. What's the other stuff? What's the Samsonite?
What's the baggage?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I asked. I don't know.
Right? Because
I don't know.
you're still only talking about 6 or 7 or 8 teams that needed a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. I don't of what we consider baggage in drafts, Shedeur's doesn't even like raise to the level of any concern at all. Especially at the quarterback spot. I asked you this.
Like, if you're afraid of his dad, just be like, hey, man,
Just say it.
I just say it.
I don't want to deal with Deion.
I'm okay with that.
Like, if Lonzo or LaMelo had fallen in the draft, do you think NBA teams would just be like, didn't want to deal with the circus with his dad? I feel like they would have said that.
Yeah.
They'd be like, hey, Lonzo's a great talent. He went 2, LaMelo went 3, I think. They'd be like, hey, great talent. Didn't want to deal with LeVar. People would have said that.
Huh?
If Golden State hadn't been looking for a center and decided to pass on LaMelo and trade back and draft Halliburton or somebody like that instead, you know what they probably would have said? Didn't really want to deal with the whole LeVar thing.
Because you know why I'm kind of,
because they're not scared of it.
Because I'm kind of off the talent thing. You don't take Gabriel before you take Sanders.
That's the thing. You can't
really just,
honestly tell me that.
You can't. I'll let you convince me. I'll listen because I certainly don't know everything about evaluating talent. I'll listen to Dart.
Sure. I think Dart and him are in the same neighborhood, though.
I'll listen to the Dart discussion.
I think they're in the same neighborhood.
I don't really think you could convince me of Tyler Shuck, though. And he can spin it. Like, the dude but he lost his job, though.
I mean, Tyler Shuck's got a lot of Joe Milton in him. Like, you like some of the tools, couldn't really hold on to a job until his last year.
I will even listen to Milroe.
I'll listen to Milroe because of the tools.
Because of his upside.
Yeah, because of the traits.
Right? Physically,
freaky.
He's about as
freaky.
He's freaky.
Yeah. I'll listen to Milroe. The
But
one that you cannot abide is Dylan Gabriel.
I just don't think you can have the talent discussion and do what you did in the draft. So it has to be something else.
Yeah.
So just tell me what it is.
Yeah. If it's Deion, just say it out loud. I mean,
there's
and
I'm not usually a guy where you have to spell it out for me, but when you're burying the kid, that's where I think, and this is just purely my personality rant you hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just purely my personality rant. This is the same guy. The only time I've gotten to a knockdown drag out with Coach Rule was as a parent and Caleb, right?
Mm-hmm.
That got me hung up on.
Yeah.
But I was going to eat it, though.
Sure.
Right? I was going to eat it. Right? You want me to close? I'll close his ass. With or without you. Fine. Okay.
My man.
No, it was.
I know. Just funny.
I'm just being like.
I just remember that conversation.
This stuff isn't. I'm not making this stuff up, right? Like, it's a real thing, and I've seen it and I've experienced it, and I know how it goes, right? Where, I mean, talk to Eric about Carson, or talk to Uyghur about his kid, or better yet, talk to Dom about Dylan. Like, hey man. There's this thing that happens when you're the overseer of somebody like that. It's just a different kind of. It's not pressure; it's responsibility.
Sure. Because you're trying to steward their career well. You're trying to help them get to where they want to go, and it is a huge. Huge responsibility.
I just found the whole thing disingenuous, and I felt like.
They lost me on Gabriel.
I just for once I do want to hear from Deion.
And honestly, like, you know me, I'm the hey, say it out loud guy. Like, it's time to say it out loud. If you just didn't want to deal with Deion, just say it. Just say it out loud. Also, people, and it's not just Kobe, in my mentions all weekend, because I said something about Shedeur during the draft, they're talking about, like, well, this is the guy that beat Bama when nobody was beating Bama and whatever. Bama lost to an Ole Miss team in 2014, so 2 years after Manziel. You remember who the quarterback was in 2014 Ole Miss? You might. Nobody else does.
Is he playing in the UFL?
I don't think he's playing anywhere. I don't think he ever played anywhere ever again.
So
he might have got a cup of coffee somewhere.
Give him to me.
Bo Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
Did Bo Wallace get drafted off of beating Bama?
I think somebody signed him.
He got a look.
Yeah, somebody signed him.
But he was a nothing quarterback.
Yeah.
Like, don't throw one game at me. Okay, oh, he won a Heisman. Okay, whatever. How many Heisman quarterbacks have we seen not get a sniff in the NFL? What's Troy Smith doing?
Yeah.
Charlie Ward had to go play basketball. Like,
Troy Smith did get drafted. Didn't the Ravens take him? Was he free agent
round?
or draft?
He
was
late.
drafted.
He was late. He ended up on Omaha Nighthawks for a minute.
Yeah.
So don't give me the Heisman and they beat Bama. I don't like. NFL has told me they don't care about that. Why should I?
Yeah. I see. I still think.
Go sign Bo Wallace if you want to.
This is my guy too. So I'm listening. He said if Sanders was a slam dunk quarterback, teams would overlook Deion. If I don't, well, no, but yeah. Then you have to. Is it a talent thing?
Listen, if he's got the talent,
and what does I'm
slam
not
dunk mean?
arguing. I'm okay with him not going in the first round.
I am too.
I'm okay with him not going in the second round.
Third's where I started to draw the line.
And then I was like,
That's where it started to get weird for me.
Now we're mixing signals. Like I'm not arguing, or I'm not.
Neither one of us are saying he's a first round talent.
Yeah, I did not want the Steelers to take him in the first round.
Second and fifth are way different things.
And I do know my man LB, like he wanted the Dolphins to take him.
Yeah.
Once you get to a certain point, it's like,
hey, it's worth a flyer.
Yeah.
And that point probably should have been the third round. Like the Steelers had the 83rd pick in the third round.
Yeah.
If they had taken him there, you're like, that's a pretty good pick.
I would have been okay.
Yeah. Because that's really good value for a guy that's more talented than his draft slot.
I would have been okay.
And you guys kind of need a quarterback.
And I think I said that. I was like, I kind of want him to take him now.
Like at a certain point, you're like, hey, that's not bad.
Oh.
Right?
Especially if you just have to play catch. Now, I mean, again, I watched whatever their showcase was, and the ball didn't always come out clean.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, if you're telling me he needs to be an indoor guy,
sure, or
he's
going to New Orleans, or maybe not the AFC.
I would have liked a little more. Like we've talked about this with other quarterbacks. What happened?
Mm-hmm.
Is this just going to be this like great enigma that we won't get to the bottom of?
I mean,
we know why Aaron Rodgers quote unquote slid.
Yeah,
we didn't love the mechanics. Was a little standoffish. Like we've heard these things. Mm-hmm. Tedford had so this isn't. We just have short, and everybody else has come back and said, "Hey, you know what? Okay, this would happen. Let me just give you the behind the scenes." I don't know if we'll get that because I still think people are afraid of.
Yeah. Because there's no real behind the scenes with Shedeur. That's what it seems like.
Yeah. There was a lot of Raider fans that wanted him.
You guys had a good draft.
They
man.
wanted him early.
You got Raiders. They had a good draft. This will be a highly, highly competitive NFL year. I mean, there's a reason it's the best league in all of pro sports.
I'm a little excited, but I like what the 49ers did.
It's going to be a very competitive year.
I was pleased. They gave themselves a chance on defense, which I'm happy about.
I can't read this. Let me see. What did my man LB say? He said the baggage, the Texas Tech issue. Is that the ball boy?
I don't remember.
Is Texas Tech? Lance, help me here. Is the Texas Tech the ball boy interview? The leaving the field early while not injured. Lance, stop saying that. Did you guys watch Shedeur when he came back from getting smoked? When they were down like 20 and he came back into the game, he stayed on the turf on like a knee when his head got slammed. Mm-hmm. He should not, I'm telling you, Lance, I'm not defending him because at that time I was like, yeah, beat his ass up.
Yeah.
The dude should not have come back in the game. And I even said at the tail end of the broadcast, listen, as a dad, that would have done something to me because he was getting
killed.
Which
is what Coach Rule brought up when he was talking about.
So I don't.
Here's the other thing too.
I'm not. Maybe I'm so. I could just be being soft. The fact he went to the locker room to get looked at did not bother me one bit. I was mad he came back into the game when his head got bounced off the turf.
Here's the other thing. Is there any other scenario? If I just tell you, hey, you are getting killed, you're down by 3 touchdowns, whatever the score was.
If I could pile on, Lance, I would. I just. I didn't see it like that.
If I give you this scenario,
my dude was getting rocked.
If I give you this scenario in a vacuum, you're getting killed. You're down by 3 touchdowns. There's like 3-4 minutes left in the game, and your starting quarterback is getting hammered, has a potential concussion situation earlier, that doesn't get looked at right
Would
away.
we have thought about it differently if he didn't do the post-game interview?
Maybe.
Because I looked at that as I looked at it as kind of eating it.
But like,
because he knew he was going to have to answer the questions of why he left.
Yeah. But my point is,
but who was the first one to say why he left, though?
Yeah.
His dad, the coach.
But here's my point. If you just, even if there is no injury, if you just pull a guy in that scenario because he's getting killed, he's your starting quarterback, and you can't win that game, normally people understand that, right? Hey, I don't want to get my guy killed.
Can I bring something up?
Yeah.
Remember when Rule left Dylan in, and he said you need to go through that, and fans were like, "Why would you risk the injury?"
Yeah.
Are we forgetting that?
I think we might.
He trotted that dude back out there.
Yeah.
No, that's the other side of the coin, and Dylan was clearly
not 100%.
Not 100%.
Absolutely.
Did we want that? We didn't love it then.
No.
We didn't love it then.
Not in real time. We're like, hey, what are we doing?
And what'd I say? Like, what did I say on the show?
I don't remember.
You have to go through that so you know what it's like, so you don't feel like that again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the dickhead in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Sometimes it's like, hey, yeah, you need to eat that. You need to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I second time going to jail, I come home in a fight, my eyes swollen shut. My dad hadn't cried since my sister had been pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "What is wrong with you?" And I said, "You. You're what's wrong with me. But I'll figure it out." That's what you hear.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not trying to get you emotional. I'm just saying, like,
no, yeah.
The feelings are real. Like, it's hard to manage.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to go through it. So, like, every time I take a picture or I only want to stand on one side of the camera because my left eye doesn't open like it should, there's lots of things that go through my mind. Why don't I like taking pictures? It's not because I don't think I'm good looking. Well, kind of. It's not because I just don't make up, oh, I'm not photogenic. I want to look at this every time I take a picture.
Yeah.
I don't. I know why I look like this.
Yeah.
Poor decision. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just eat it. Like, just say what it is.
Yeah, say it all out.
Like, and I'm not normally like that because that's more
my
your
thing.
deal.
That's my thing.
That's totally your deal.
Yeah.
But from a parent standpoint, not a coach, from a parent standpoint, your job is protect. Say something.
Yeah.
Just say something. You do any other goddamn time.
That's, and not to rehash, that's what I wanted out of Nico's dad too. Protect him.
Yeah.
Say something. Say, hey, this is on me. At some point, as the dad, that's your job. Protect the kid.
Yeah.
Do what you can for him. And I genuinely believe Deion was doing this whole time what he thought was best for Shedeur. He may not have been right.
Oh, I know. It's hard. It's
hard
because you don't know because it hasn't
you can't
produced
play
a
it
result.
Out,
Yeah,
right. You can't play it out. You don't know how it's going to go.
Produced a
That's
result
part of the
yet.
reason I didn't want to be a parent, right? Like, it is hard. I don't want to have to make those decisions, right?
No, I get it.
But Deion, real time,
Believe me.
As much as I don't like Deion, and as much as I think he's disingenuous in a lot of times, there's not a single part of me that ever thinks he thought he was doing something bad for his kid. Yeah. Not a single time.